Hello Yugitubers, this is Richard of GK Apprentice back with you, and today we're going to be doing a card review for a Gravekeeper monster, and the card that we are going to be reviewing today is none other than the Gravekeeper's Shaman. Alright, we're going to jump right into it. If you guys have been watching my Gravekeeper deck profiles over the last couple months, you know that I love playing this card. If you don't know what this card does, I'm going to start by reading the effect. This card's effect says that this card gains 200 defense for each Gravekeeper monster in your graveyard. Negate all monster effects that activate in the graveyard except Gravekeeper's monsters. While Necrovalley is on the field, your opponent cannot activate field spell cards. Also, field card spells cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That means that if Necrovalley is on the field, effectively, if you have your Necrovalley on the field, your opponent cannot destroy it, and they cannot play their own field spells. Now, prior to this new format that started the other day, on the 14th, your opponent not being able to play field spells meant that your Necrovalley was basically just protected, unless, of course, they put it back on top of the deck or maybe banished it. But other than that, it was pretty hard to get rid of Necrovalley while Shaman was on the field. Now, since both players can have field spells on the field, this will make it to where your opponent can't activate their field spell cards, and effectively keep it still at a one field spell card game, and making sure that your field spell cannot be destroyed, your Necrovalley. That's a majorly powerful effect in a Gravekeeper deck, but things that are just added. I don't know why they did it to the same card, but this card also acts as a permanent Abyss Dweller. This card doesn't activate; it's all continuous effects, so it can't be affected by things that only target activating effects. This card stops all monster effects that activate in the graveyard, and so that can shut down a number of decks, namely Light Swarm, zombie decks, the Dragon Rulers, all kinds of things. Sylvans, Madolches can get just utterly shut down by the Gravekeeper Shaman. And the price of this card is that it's a level 6, so it has to be tribute summoned to get it onto the field. But in the Gravekeeper deck that I run, and actually the Gravekeeper core already has a few ways to special summon the Gravekeeper Shaman onto the field. And the most obvious to anybody is going to be the Gravekeeper Spy off a flip summon. When the Spy is flip summoned, she can special summon a Gravekeeper with 1500 or less attack from the deck, and the Shaman just happens to have 1500 attack and defense, making it able to be special summoned by the Spy, or even searched out by the Recruiter. Now, the Recruiter is going to add it to your hand. The Spy is going to be able to special summon it in defense mode to the field. So if your graveyard's already pretty stocked up with Gravekeepers, special summoning this card in defense with a Spy is an awesome play. But something that I've been liking to do is using Magical Dimension, because you don't want to draw into the Gravekeeper Shaman a lot, but if she does get stuck in your hand, and it's happened to me a lot, I didn't want to tribute summon it. So what I did is I found the card Magical Dimension. If you are not familiar with Magical Dimension, you should be if you've been seeing my deck profiles, but if you're not, I'll go ahead and read this effect. It says, if you control a spellcaster type monster, target one monster you control, tribute that monster. Special summon one spellcaster type monster from your hand, then you can destroy one monster on the field. So, say you have Gravekeeper's Recruiter, Gravekeeper Shaman in your hand, and you have a Magical Dimension. You can normal summon into the Gravekeeper's Recruiter. It doesn't matter if they try to bottomless trap hole it or not, because if they bottomless trap hole, you can just chain your Magical Dimension, and that's going to send it to the graveyard and let you special summon the Shaman in defense from your hand, and also it's going to allow you to get your Recruiter's effect off. And that's something that's always great, because that's just another way to add another Necrovalley to your hand. Maybe you want to get a Gravekeeper's Heretic in your hand, an Assailant, a Descendant, anything except for the Spy. And so, also, what happens when your Gravekeeper's Shaman does get killed? I think this is great, because this card always takes resources to get over. It always takes resources to get rid of. And what's awesome is sometimes it will get sent to the graveyard, and I have this bad boy just standing by. I run 3 Rite of Spirits in my main deck, just so I can maintain my field presence and get to my Shaman a lot. Shaman goes to the grave, Rite of Spirit it right back. I mean, or maybe you had your Recruiter, and with your Recruiter you needed to draw. And if you've been watching my deck profiles, you know that I don't use Pot of Dualities, but I like to use Wonder Wands. Maybe you have a Wonder Wand on your Recruiter, you use Wonder Wand's effect, and to draw 2 cards, get your Recruiter search, giving you a +3 effectively. Then you use Rite of Spirit to special summon your Recruiter back, and maybe then you're in a position where you do feel comfortable tribute summoning your Shaman and getting your Recruiters off a second time. Or maybe you have Magical Dimension in your hand and you can special summon the Descendant and get your Recruiters effect off the second time. Or special summon your Shaman, get your Recruiters effect off a second time, and destroy a monster on the field. I mean, this card is too good, and I think every Gravekeeper deck should play it, and I think some non-Gravekeeper decks, some of the meta decks should consider siding in this card, because, I mean, it has 1500 defense. It's not a bad card, especially with the protection some meta decks can offer it, and it can act as a permanently active Abyss Dweller for anybody, really, because you don't have to have Necrovalley on the field to play this card, and its effect to negate effects in the graveyard is active no matter what, as long as it's on the field. That's going to do it for this card review of the Gravekeeper Shaman. I apologize for getting a little bit more in depth with the strategy involved with playing the card in the deck than I meant to. I think it's alright though. It was a lot of great tips for the tech cards in my deck. But if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you had any tips, comments, or suggestions, or any thoughts on how to play the Gravekeeper Shaman, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel for weekly Gravekeeper videos and Yu-Gi-Oh card game strategy discussion in general. Until next time, this is Richard, signing off.